ask yourself, what is the next right move? Not think about, oh, I got all of this stuff. What is the next right move? And then from that space, make the next right move and the next right move. And not to be overwhelmed by it, because you know your life is bigger than that one moment. You know you're not defined by what somebody says is a failure for you, because failure is just there to point you in a different direction. I say to my girls all of the time that your real work is to figure out where your power base is and to work on the alignment of your personality, your gifts that you have to give, with the real reason why you're here. That's the number one thing you have to do, is to work on yourself and to fill yourself up and keep your cup full. Keep yourself full. And I could understand that it really was because I was grounded. I've done the was doing and continue to this day to do the consciousness work. I work at staying awake.
If you look around you, you see leaders in positions of power, in politics, in media, in business, all of them with high IQs, great degrees, making terrible decisions. What is missing is not IQ, but wisdom. And today it's getting harder and harder to tap into our own wisdom, because we are all so hyper-connected to our devices, our screens, our social media, that we're having a hard time disconnecting from technology and reconnecting with ourselves. What I'm telling you is to regularly disconnect from technology, to regularly unplug and recharge in order to reconnect with ourselves and our own deepest wisdom.
Well, I'm a very curious person, and that curiosity really is, I think, at the basis for all the kinds of things that I like to try and experiment with and attempt, and we have a good time doing it. It's not so much being driven as much as being interested in a lot of different things.
I really encourage them, if they have a great idea, to run with it. Find ways to finance, find ways to build, find ways to market.
Every business has, and I don't like to think of things as obstacles all the time. I like to think of them as challenges to be solved and problems to be dealt with. Working hard and making money for your hard work. That was another thing that I also discovered as an entrepreneur, that it's all well and good to work really hard, but you must be compensated for your hard work. Actually, you see that a business is forming, that a business is being created, that you are actually being productive.
I'm just a committed and even stubborn person who wants to see every child getting quality education, who wants to see women having equal rights, and who wants peace in every corner of the world. Education is one of the blessings of life and one of its necessities. That has been my experience during the 17 years of my life. We wanted to make our parents proud and prove that we could also excel in our studies and achieve those goals which some people think only boys can. But things did not remain the same. I had two options. One was to remain silent and wait to be killed. And the second was to speak up and then be killed. I chose the second one.
Ideas are the most vulnerable in their infancy. And the moment you have an idea, It's human nature to turn to your husband, your wife, your coworker, and tell them your idea. And out of love and concern, oftentimes people will tell you the 2 or 3 things that they think maybe you should consider, and it stops people a lot of times often right in their tracks. Failure for me became not trying versus the outcome. So many people don't take risks for fear of failure. They don't start the business, they don't go create the art they want to create, or they don't go try out to be in the play or whatever it is for the fear of failure. And once you redefine that for yourself and realize the failure is just not trying. Courage is not doing things in the absence of fear. Courage is doing things despite the fear. And I have so many fears, I do still. And the more you do it, it's like a muscle. Courage gets stronger and stronger and stronger in your life. I think especially the more people are in jobs or in their roles, they feel even more pressure, like I'm supposed to know this already, or I'm supposed to be the smartest person in the room because I've been doing this the longest. And that's a real disadvantage. Some people start businesses and try to come across that they're much bigger than they are because they feel like that's the only way they're going to be taken seriously. But if you know your product's great and you know why you made it, you don't have to apologize for being out of your home or your apartment or being small.
The first is competency. I think anybody who wants to be a future leader should have a hip pocket skill that everybody looks at and says XYZ is the go-to person for that skill. Because unless you're really known for something and not just as a generalist, you don't stand out from the pack. But in order to be competent at something, you've got to be a lifelong student, because you've got to constantly refine your knowledge of that subject so that you remain ahead and abreast of everything that goes on in that field first. The second I'd say is courage and confidence. It's a pair. You can be very, very competent, but if you're not willing to speak out, if you're not willing to have the confidence based on your knowledge, what's the point, right? You just roll over. So courage and confidence are very important. The third is communication skills. You cannot overinvest in communication skills, written and oral communications, because as a leader, you constantly have to mobilize the troops. So I'd encourage all of you, invest in communication skills, critically important. The fourth skill I'd say is consistency. It's important that leaders are consistent. You can change your mind, but change your mind against a consistent framework, because if you're not consistent, people are always second guessing what you're doing. So be consistent. And the last skill is your compass. Integrity is critical in this job. You can be competent, you can be courageous, have confidence, be a great communicator, be consistent. But if you don't have integrity, if that compass doesn't point true north, everything comes crashing down, as we've seen in recent times. So again, it's the 5C model, and that's what I've operated against for all my life.
I think it's very important to keep evolving. And I think when you have that kind of a mindset, then reinventing yourself or reinventing the business is a natural part of that process. You have to keep challenging the status quo. Discomforting as a girl to sort of even look at pursuing a career in brewing. But my father said to me, he says, why do you have that kind of perspective about brewing? Because brewing is the oldest biotechnology known to man. So, I think you should look at it as a science. I think you should look at it as a fermentation science.